Hi, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Karin, and I'd like to welcome you to the Earth Engine Ask Me Anything, also called AMA. Welcome. This is a special time for you guys to ask any questions, any burning questions that have been building up about Earth Engine specifically over the last day and a half or for the last couple months. We love all questions, but today we're going to steer away from those troubleshooting, those specific technical questions that you might have. We're going to steer away from them in this forum. If you have specific questions about your EE work, please go to the office hours where we're going to have people ready to answer your specific one-on-one questions. We may also follow up some questions that we've heard earlier today. And so stay tuned if you asked a question that hasn't been answered yet. I'm here with Emily and Joel, who are product managers for Earth Engine. Hi, guys. I'm here with David, who is an engineering lead for Earth Engine. Hi, David. And I'm here with Tyler, who is lead for Earth Engine Developer Relations. Oh. Hi, Tyler. This AMA is 30 minutes, so ask your questions below starting now. If you ask questions and we're not able to get to them, we'll definitely follow up in text afterwards. But I have a couple of icebreakers. You know, icebreakers get the group loosened up a little bit. I have a couple of icebreakers before we hop into questions from you guys out there. And they're very pertinent questions to Earth Engine, so hopefully you guys will learn a little something about our team in the process. Okay, so my first question is, what is your favorite team? What is your favorite satellite mission at the moment? What is your favorite satellite mission? And this could be a past satellite mission, present or future satellite mission, and why? And I'm going to go to Emily first. What do you say?
I think since you asked particularly for a favorite past, present, future, I'll pick Sentinel-2 from ESA with all of its applications in agriculture, forestry, land cover change. Just particularly since you asked for a favorite future mission, they also have long-term funding for the future.
Nice. That's always good. Joel, what about you? What's your favorite satellite mission?
I'll go with Landsat. It's been giving us data since the 1970s, which is great context for understanding how the world's been changing on a longer time scale than pretty much any other remote sensing data set that I'm aware of.
Yeah, those are both really good ones. And I love that the Google Earth time lapse, which is actually built with Google Earth Engine, and now you can see it in Google Earth, that leverages both Landsat and Sentinel. So it has like past all the way from the 70s or 80s in time lapse's case, all the way through to today. So that's awesome. Those are great missions. I'm sure a lot of people's favorites. Okay, next question is, what is your favorite high impact application of Earth Engine? And I'm going to go to Tyler for this. Tyler. What do you say?
That one's easy for me. I would have to say OpenET. It's a project that just launched last month in partnership with EDF, DRI, NASA, and 6 different research groups. And it's looking at mapping high resolution evapotranspiration or water transfer from the ground surface up to the atmosphere. It's very difficult to measure. It's really exciting. The progress that these teams have come together, working together, it's just moved science forward so much faster than I've seen in other areas. So you can learn more about that at openetdata.org.
Yeah, and being a native Californian who grew up in the Central Valley, surrounded by agriculture and farms, that's the first place I went, of course. And I started clicking around, and it was fascinating to see just the amount of data that's, you can find for each of these crops. And so that's a lot of power. So fantastic. I love that project too. Okay, I'm going to go to my last icebreaker question before I get into some other questions below. So what is your favorite data set in the Earth Engine data catalog? It doesn't have to be a satellite mission product or anything like that, but it could be. I'd love to hear from David. What's your favorite?
Yeah, I'm excited about the non-optical data sets that we have in the catalog. For example, the SRTM topography mission, and the elevation data sets are non-optical, but they're great to supplement your optical classification tasks. I could also pick one which is not in the catalog currently, which is the JEDI data that we heard about this morning. Ready, lasers from space. It gives a whole new way to analyze land cover. And I think the applications of it are still really only scratching the surface.
Yeah, I agree. Emily, what about you?
Well, we already talked about Landsat and Sentinel, so maybe I'll pick a new dataset dynamic world that Tanya and our partner team covered this morning. So this is a high resolution, globally consistent near real-time land cover map that's available as a partner preview to the scientific community. And yeah, this is created from Sentinel-2 imagery for 9 land use cover classes.
Awesome. Yeah. And I just want to put a quick plug, being my background's in GIS. So I want to put a big plug in that there's also a lot of vector data in there. So you guys can look at the tags. When you go to the data catalog, click on tags and find the vector tag. You'll find a bunch of vector data sets as well from the census and other providers. So lots of good stuff in there. Awesome. So I see that there's been some questions submitted down below our video in the Q&A log. Good job, everybody. I'm going to ask some questions as they come in, and please keep your questions coming. Okay, so for Tyler from Annie, what do you consider to be some of the most underutilized functions in the Earth Engine API?
That's a good one. There are lots of functions in the Earth Engine API, like over 1,000. But I guess the ones that I see kind of underutilized the most are just analyses that are taking into account multiple data sources at the same time. And that might be different resolutions of optical data, or it might be optical data and radar data combined together, or meteorological conditions that can help you to interpret the optical data. Things like that. I still see that as underutilized relative to the potential of that Earth Engine is giving people to work with those type of data.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. Okay. So the next question I see, I'm going to direct to Emily from Three Horns. Is the high resolution historical imagery that's in Google Earth Pro something that can be added to Google Earth Engine and can be then queried and analyzed? Is that possible?
Let's see, I'll take a stab at this. So I think it depends which imagery you're talking about. Some of the imagery I know is the same as the imagery that we have in Earth Engine, but there is also proprietary Google imagery that's not available. I don't know if anyone else also wants to add on to that.
Yes, there's a lot of high resolution imagery in Earth Engine, and especially if you saw the NICFI talk this morning, we're getting more for tropical locations in particular. But a lot of the Google Earth and Google Maps high resolution imagery is either proprietary to Google, unfortunately, or licensed to Google under display only terms. So we can't get our hands on that either, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's right. I think, sometimes I think of it as Google Earth and the Google Maps, the base maps are a blend of many, many different data sets or imagery data sets from aerial and satellite. And so some of that is Landsat, and that stuff is available in Google Earth Engine. But if it's from satellite providers that are not open government, then you have to go directly to those satellite providers, purchase or get a grant from them, and then you can bring it into Google Earth Engine yourself through the importing your private assets, and then you can do analysis on that. So yeah, it really depends. Three Horns, if what you want is available and how to get it. So hope that helps. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Tyler, or whoever else wants to jump in. This is a question from Guy. Not everyone can share assets and codes all the time, besides the awesome, he put in parentheses, awesome office hours in the Geo for Good Summit once a year. Is there any way for the community to get one-on-one support outside of these events?
Well, I'd say that's tricky because there's not that many of us within Google that can provide the one-on-one support. So we have to select our events for it. But the Earth Engine community is very willing to help depending on what you are able to share. I'm not quite sure what you meant by not everyone can share assets and codes. Sometimes you can actually take your question and replace it with data or code that you can share just to get your question answered. And if so, there are many different support mechanisms that are listed in the Earth Engine documentation that you can use for asking those questions to members of the community. And that includes the Earth Engine discussion forum, the Google group, which is pretty good for free form discussion type questions. And then there's also GIS Stack Exchange if you have a very specific programming kind of Q&A formed question. And members of the community have been answering those quite. So it can be a little bit tricky sometimes to format your question if it's a private data or code that you haven't published on and you're working on. But I would encourage you to adapt your questions so that they can be asked to the entire community. And that's one of the best ways to get help.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Putting your question out there, even if you can't share your code link, is really helpful. All right. So we have another question. Let's see. We have questions that I think I'm going to direct to David. David, I'm curious, what is the best way? This is from Jonah or Yana. What is the best way to access data sets from Google Earth Engine in GCP? For example, if you're a GCP user, how would you then pull it from Google Earth Engine into your work? Or they actually gave, they gave an example, for instance, Sentinel-1, which is not shown in the GCS public buckets.
Yes, we've exposed some of our data so far in GCS public buckets, but the common mechanism here is cloud-oriented, cloud-optimized geotiffs. You can export to these something called COGS formats, and you can, it's a two-step process. You can export from Earth Engine to cloud-optimized geotiffs into a cloud storage bucket and continue your work in the cloud platform from there. We're working to expose more data in cloud buckets directly as well, though.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Yeah. Joel, there's a question for you. I think you'd be good at answering from Guy. There is a backlog, or there's a long list, I think, of requested, I don't know how long it is actually, but there is a backlog of requested public data sets in the data issue tracker. What is our plan to prioritize and ingest these?
It's a good question. Thanks for the question. The general process that we go through is that we use that backlog as a way for hearing from the Earth Engine community, which are the most requested data sets, which are the highest priority data sets. There's a voting mechanism, as many of you probably know, and then we pick off the top data sets in that backlog based on a lot of those signals and some input from the internal team as well. So we continue to make progress on the backlog, and we're also bringing more sort of community uploaded data into that picture too, trying to keep up with the number of requests that we get. So keep voting, keep suggesting data sets, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. We have a team that's working on it and continuing to make progress there.
Thanks, Joel. We're ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
We're ready. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to add to that we really are looking to bring in data which is the most valuable to the most people. So yeah, your votes matter, and we're looking to maximize that value.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, guys. Okay, so the next question is for Emily or whoever wants to jump in. This is more of a technical question that came up earlier in a different session, and so I saved it to be answered here. And so Emily, you can have a first crack, or if you want to pass it on, whatever you want. This is getting into the TensorFlow in Earth Engine. So is this from Nishan? Is it possible to import non-TensorFlow locally trained model to be used with EE model from AI platform? The model is trained with XGBoost algorithm. So it's pretty specific, but let's try it here in this forum. What do you say?
Yeah, so if you have a TensorFlow model, you can train it anywhere, you can save it, you can do what we call EE-ify it, and host it, but non-TensorFlow models can't be EE-ified and hosted yet. We are looking into additional functionality like interoperability with TensorFlow decision forests, but we don't have anything to report there specifically yet. And although we are investigating support for models produced by TensorFlow decision forests, the best alternative we have right now is the SMILE gradient tree boost classifier, and we can throw a link to that in our docs in the chat.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so before I go, I want to make sure, just in case there are people new to Earth Engine out there, what does EE-ify mean?
That refers to the model prepare that we have, which basically makes your trained TensorFlow model work with Earth Engine.
Awesome.
Yeah, I could add to that. It's basically preparing it, because TensorFlow doesn't know anything about geospatial data necessarily. So it is actually translating the geospatial data Earth Engine produces, running a TensorFlow model, and then it can translate it back into a geospatial context.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, guys. Okay, Tyler, stay on here. This is from a question from Jing. I think you'll be best to answer it. I'm a newbie, but excited. What is the best place to get started?
Let's see. The best place I would say to get started is a series of video trainings that we have put together on, and we can put this link up here. It's Earth Outreach on Air, and it has a lot of videos that we've recorded mostly over the last year when we haven't been able to travel around due to COVID. But it has great introductions that you can, if you like watching to actually learn what the concepts are, that it can be a really great way to start. And that can be a good launching point into the much more detailed Earth Engine developer docs. Also within the Earth Engine developer docs, there are some self-paced tutorials that you can use to work through some code, whether that's in the code editor or in the Python Jupyter Colab environment.
Awesome. Thank you. And I just want to say, if anyone's watching on the watch page right now, you're halfway there to the Earth Outreach on Air. Don't click on it now, but if you click on the Google Earth Outreach in the top left-hand corner, it'll take you to that page. But if you click on it now, you're going to leave our live stream. But you're already on the platform, so there's a lot more trainings on this platform besides the summit, so you can explore that later after the day ends. Okay, great. The next question I have is from Guy. I think, David, I'll hand this one to you. Is there a development timeline for the new features in Google Earth Engine? In times, it seems that nothing is happening, even though you may be working on scalability or other behind-the-scenes stuff. You want to say some words about that, David?
Yes, and thank you for the question, Guy. There are certainly a lot of behind-the-scenes activities. Speaking as technical manager, things like scalability, as you rightly point out, things like security features, where security is always a moving target, are things that necessarily we have to work on and ensure the future of the product, really. At the same time, we try to devote equal amounts of time to bringing out new features like new ML work, like you've seen this morning, and further features in the code editor and apps as well. We are never really try to set a forward-looking timeline of too much, because so much is in flux. It's unwise many times to make promises that you can't keep. So the features will come, and we'll announce them in the course of next year, and look forward to seeing you and bring you a large number of new features at the summit next year.
Yeah, that's great. Joel, do you have anything else you want to add to that? I mean, you can also pass it on. But
the only thing I would add is that what you're essentially asking is whether there's a roadmap, a published roadmap, and we don't have one for the reasons that David talked about. But as we work more and more with commercial and public sector users of Earth Engine, that is something that is typically an expectation from that group. So we're likely sort of going to have more visibility into our roadmap going forward than we have in the past. Details to come, but we do think that that's something that's going to be expected of us as we work with these new users.
I could add one thing to that too. Yesterday, we announced the formation of a Google Developer Experts category for Earth Engine, and part of that is if you're accepted into this program and are an expert, you will be able to have early access to some of the features that we're working on under a non-disclosure agreement, so that we can have a little bit more open discussion of what is coming and get your feedback of like whether it's ready for prime time or not, or whether it needs more work. So you can be more active in that process of helping us shape our roadmap.
And Tyler, remind everyone where they can find more information about that Google Developer Experts.
Yeah, there is a post in the Google Earth Engine Developers group, the Google group, that gives you more information on the program and how to nominate your fellow experts in the community.
And as a reminder for those who may be new, you can find that in the code editor under the help menu. You can see user forum there and go right to there. And if you need to join that, you can join that. And that's what Tyler was referring to earlier. You can share your questions there and get a lot of help from the community as well as Googlers. All right. I have a question from Ethan for Emily. I think Emily would be great to answer this one. I'd like to hear more about continued integrations with the rapidly changing Vertex AI. For example, building custom prediction models. Do you have anything? This is a little bit about the roadmap things, maybe, but go ahead.
Sure. Well, I guess I'll start by saying that we have a variety of existing ways to flow and the cloud AI platform. For example, you can generate training data in Earth Engine, export it in TF record format, and then import back into Earth Engine. And then you can predict in TensorFlow and import predictions back into Earth Engine, or predict in Earth Engine with a trained model hosted on the Cloud AI platform using EE.model. And we have examples in our documentation that kind of demonstrate all of this, how to work with TensorFlow, et cetera. And yeah, Vertex AI is improving a lot, and I'll say it's kind of one of our top areas that we're excited to look at, because we know how sort of groundbreaking it is for the community.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so panel of teammates, we have about 10 more questions. I'd love to try to get to as many as we can. It doesn't mean you guys need to give one-word answers, but let's try to do rapid fire from here on out, because we have about, 8 more minutes left of our time before the next session. So for David from Julio, any chance, or David, or he says hi all, so any chance, any of you guys want to pitch in here, you can. Any chance to have a Google Earth-like 3D view in Earth Engine? In some cases, it would dramatically improve data visualization. Thanks. What do you say?
Yes. Hi, Julio. Long time no see. Thanks for the question. We've talked about this quite a bit with the Google Earth team. In fact, both Google Earth and Google Maps have 3D views that we can use, and this is especially useful if you happen to be researching polar areas or need other projections. I suppose I should defer to my previous answer and say we don't have an exact timeline for this yet, but thank you for the feature request, and we'll put something together when we can.
Yeah, and I'll just put a plug in for the capability of going from Earth Engine tiles to Google Earth. So that's a great technique to use at the moment as well. So for that 3D view of your Earth Engine results. Yeah. For Tyler from Jason, are there Google Earth Engine communities of practice in different fields like forestry, ecology, agriculture? I think it would be great to be able to regularly connect with practitioners in the same field. I love this idea. What do you say, Tyler? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that is a good idea. A challenge is that Earth Engine is so diverse that we're not ever always sure what is a large enough community practice to be self-supporting. So we've sort of looked for members of the community that are interested in forming these to start them up. I can't point you to any for the particular fields that you mentioned. There have been some that have formed around different sensor modalities, like there has been a very active SAR group. Came out of some of the presentations that we did at the European Geophysical Union and AGU, where we would have SAR-related sessions. So I would say if you're really interested in one of those, I would actually start that up as a discussion in the Google developers group and just take it from there. If there is enough interest, please do. We don't want to have too much divergence because there's so much of the knowledge for these different communities of practice that is in common. But I can recognize that sometimes the data sets and the analysis techniques might be particular to the community of practice as well.
Yeah, and I will say that this is one of the reasons why we got excited about organizing the summit by different thematic areas. For that reason is that you guys can all meet each other. You don't have to spend all week. You can meet each other and come together around these communities of practice. But as Tyler said, yeah, there's so much that can be shared across them. Okay, for David from Shobita, love working with Google Earth Engine and always look forward to seeing interesting applications that come out of it. But one of the community commonly faced issues while working on larger regions are memory error limits or issues during export. Are there any good workarounds for this and any way we can understand this memory limit before the export process?
Yes, we do see a lot of those memory limits errors. And to give you a bit of the technical background here, it's because some of the algorithms, when we're working on large geometries, have to consider that geometry holistically and hold the entire thing in memory at one time. And Google server machines are large, but still, they only have a finite number of gigabytes of RAM, and we will run into memory limits. So you have to continuously work on improving those algorithms, of course, but you can also work with us and work around it by either simplifying or slicing up your geometry into simpler polygons or smaller polygons, and that will often help. You can also use the Earth Engine profiler under the Run menu to see how much memory your algorithm is using right now and start finding the hotspots in the algorithm and knowing where the large bits of memory usage are actually occurring. It's an interactive process, but between you and us, there's always a way to solve it.
And one useful technique that you can use as well is to do some type of sensitivity analysis, so that you might change the the scale or the number of vertices in a polygon and run your analysis and figure out whether that actually makes a difference in the result that you're trying to come out of Earth Engine. And if you can simplify it before running it, you can get things to finish much faster and not run out of memory as well.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Okay, so this question is for Emily or Joel from Guy. Google Earth Engine support for vector data is not optimal at the moment. Is there anything coming? For example, many people would love to be able to use data sets as large as OpenStreetMap in Google Earth Engine, but of course, OpenStreetMap is very large. What do you guys want to say about all of that?
Yeah, so Tyler actually demonstrated yesterday in the talks of improvements that we were making to visualization of large vector data sets. I think he showed, for an example of the rivers data set, kind of panning around the map and how the visualization has improved in Earth Engine, as well as with sort of this new feature that's doing much more performant visualization and better styling as well. So yes, coming soon.
In addition to that, there's one of the other spaces to watch is making it easier to work between BigQuery and Earth Engine. So BigQuery has GIS functionality that's been built into it in the last couple of years. And right now it's not super easy to get data back and forth between Earth Engine and BigQuery. But as we improve that, BigQuery will be a better option for managing really large vector data sets and performing GIS style analyses on them. So keep an eye on that space as well.
Awesome. Okay, so I think we only have time for one more question, and I'm really sorry for the questions we didn't get to, but you guys don't worry. We're going to go into the Q&A after and type in the answers. So please stay tuned over the next hour while we do that, or 2 hours. It depends on when we have a chance to look and give you our best answers. The question I have here, and maybe I'll take it from the first person who calls it, is how do you think the direction and how has the direction and application and development of Google Earth Engine surprised you? Is there anything that was unexpected or really exciting that you didn't expect? This is a tough one. This is a philosophical one, fun one. I can jump into with one of my answers.
I think one of the ones that surprised me in the past is when we introduced like Sentinel-1 data to the Earth Engine catalog, and within like a few weeks there were people that were doing operational flood monitoring with it, and it's not like we had fully documented it or described even how to do the analysis, but just the having it there and having a scrappy bunch of Earth Engine developers watching what we add to Earth Engine produce some amazing results in a really short amount of time.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh, thanks, Tyler. Thanks to the whole team, you guys. This has been really fun. And thank you to everyone out there for joining us today and for all your questions. We will get to all of them, I promise. Please stay tuned for the Sustainability Supply Chain Sourcing track. That starts in just under an hour. And if you enjoyed learning about Google Earth Engine this week, we encourage you to register for an upcoming digital event called Earth Engine Classification. It's coming on December 7th, so sign that up for that. And with that, I'll close and just say, keep having a great summit, everyone. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you.